Welcome to Moose Court. We're in Judge Simpson's court, Washtenaw County, Michigan, near Ann Arbor. Last fall, University of Michigan had the pro-Palestinian encampment, and 7 were arrested and charged with felonies, basically obstructing police. They bonded out. They had conditions of their bond, and one kid violated his bond, which was kind of dumb. Interested in what you think in the comments. Let's get started here.
County, Washington State of Michigan is now back in session. The Honorable Judge Simpson.
You may be seated. We'll recall the case of the people of the state of Michigan versus Henry McKean Shapiro.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Robin Liddell on behalf of the people.
Lauren asking on behalf of Mr. McKean Shapiro, who stands to my left.
All right, this is the people's motion regarding revocation of bond. Go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Your Honor, on September 17, 2024, this defendant was given a set of bond conditions. One of those conditions was that the defendant could be on the U of M campus only for the purposes of attending class and or for the purposes of employment. On March 28, 2025, which you have articulated in the motion, the defendant violated that specific bond condition. He was photographed in Angel Hall, putting up flyers at approximately 10:25 a.m. He did not have a class in Angel Hall. He was not working at Angel Hall. He had no purpose to be there, and therefore the people believe that it was a violation. Attached to our motion, we have attached several documents. One was the bond order, which outlines the conditions that he was governed to by this court. The others were photographs of the defendant on March 28 at Angel Hall, putting up those wanted flyers. We also attached the defendant's class schedule. His class schedule indicated that he did have class that day at a different building, that being the MLB building from 9 to 10. And after that, according to his own response, he had a quiz that he was supposed to take, but that quiz was also in that same building. He had no purpose to be in the Angel Hall building at all. He was not there for class. He was not there for the purposes of employment. He was photographed there putting up posters, but I really don't even think that is the issue. The issue is that the bond conditions of this court is that he's only supposed to be on campus for the purposes of employment and or class. And clearly, the photographs indicated that on March 28, 2025, at approximately 10:25 a.m., he was not doing either of those things. And so, Your Honor, with that, we request that the court does find that there is a violation, and how the court needs to deal with the violation, we need to discuss.
Thank you. Saskia.
My client is acknowledging that he did violate the bond conditions. Although he was on campus for class and he went there to study, he does acknowledge that he had no purpose to be in that building, although he was there to seeing friends for a moment. So although he was there and he was there during a break, he was not supposed to be in that particular building.
Accept the admission of the defendant to the bond violation. Mr. McKean Shapiro, anything you want to tell the court before I impose sentence?
No, thank you.
All right. Well, let me just tell you this, sir. Throughout this entire case, I've been taking it at a pace, particularly so that you know, recognizing that some of you as students were set to graduate. You were one of those. I either have to believe that you just through some willful and wanton reason just decided you wanted to violate this court's order, and in that way view you as one that I certainly have to protect the public. On the other hand, I almost want to think about you as just being stupid. And I hate using that word, but this is just absolute stupidity. When I saw the photographs of what you were doing, and understand, I'm not going to issue a sanction because of the content of those flyers and the speech that may be in that, as vile as it is. I'm not doing it for those reasons. I'm doing it because you have to understand that in some way you have to conform to rules. somehow or another, from the very beginning of this case up until that date, you were able to do it. And I don't know how you just lost your mind that day and just decided you were going to do something else. I told your counsel when we were back discussing it in chambers, and I'll just make it real clear that upon seeing that, unless you gave me some good explanation, I was just going to send you. You were just going to sit till this case ended. You need to thank your attorney that she was able to convince me that maybe that wouldn't be the best thing in the world. Because I don't issue orders I don't intend to enforce. You violate them, I'll hear you out. I'll allow you that due process to be able to explain to me what happened. I think as Mr. Macklin, when he was arraigning before, I have difficulty sometimes with these orders regarding the U of M. I grew up in Ann Arbor. I understand that sometimes you can be walking around, you're on city property, the next thing you know, you're on university property. I get all of that. That wasn't this. You were someplace you weren't supposed to be, quite frankly, doing something you shouldn't have been doing given the circumstances that you're in at this time. Where is your graduation going to occur?
One is off campus, and there's another in the big house area.
Where?
The Michigan State Theater.
But that's a UM sanctioned event.
I don't believe it's university property, though.
Okay, amen. I get that. But the event is being put on by the university, right?
Correct.
And in here lies the problem. Tell me how I can trust you to behave yourself, not only just on university property, but at any university event.
I have no intention of attending that event for any other reason than receiving my diploma.
Why am I supposed to, how am I supposed to believe you? See, that's what the problem is here. You're asking me to trust you. How am I supposed to trust you?
At the moment that I received my diploma, I'm willing to, I will not have any more contact with the University of Michigan in any regard.
That's the only ceremony you were attending?
That was the only one I was planning on attending.
So you are not going to the one at the stadium?
No.
The other thing that your attorney convinced me not to do, because quite frankly, I was concerned certainly about those of you that were graduating initially when this case came along. Very concerned in making sure that you got there. But your behavior, in my mind, almost had you forfeit that right to be at that graduation. Basically, just sort of flushing down the toilet, if you will, the symbolic representation of the time that you spent. But your attorney pointed out something to me, because your dad's here. And I guess sometimes what kids don't realize is you're getting that piece of paper, but you're walking across that stage is more for them than it is for you. That's what you jeopardized. for your parents. So the only reason that I'm even, and I don't know your dad, I never met him, wouldn't be able to pick him out of the crowd that's out there, but I'm just going to tell you something. The only reason I'm fashioning something that allows you to attend that graduation is for your parents.
Much appreciated, Your Honor.
They shouldn't suffer because of your stupidity. Because that's something they never get back. But you're going to have to pay a consequence for it. Everybody else here has been able to conduct themselves as best I know in a fashion to comply with the court's orders. You did not. Your attorney has convinced me that sending you to jail for 10 days through the graduation commencement weekend would be unduly burdensome to you and your family. So here's what I'm going to do. I think it appropriate that you spend time in jail for violation of the court's orders. And I do consider it not just a violation of that order, but I consider it a willful violation that you did. You knew better. So, Mr. Allen. So it's going to be the sentence of the court. You're going to spend 4 days in the Washtenaw County Jail.
This way.
Yes, sir. Oh.
Shame.
Oh, stay here. Stay here.
Stay right there, sir.
Just stay still. You're good. You're good.
Do you have anything on you?
Hmm?
Do you have anything on you?
Put your hand.
No.
You can put your hand.
You're going to spend 4 days in the Washtenaw County Jail. I'm going to release you after those 4 days. So that you know, today counts. So it's not like 4 days from today. Should be out Sunday. You'll be out, you'll be placed on a GPS tether for your location to make sure that you do not enter any University of Michigan property. So be careful when you're walking, once you're out, when you're walking around, that you don't just stray there, because particularly down where your commencement is, you know what I'm talking. There's areas that are U of M property. You understand that?
Understood, Your Honor.
Okay. Defendant is remanded. If he's released on that day. Counsel, because of just the timing of it, so that, because normally I would say that he can't be released without the tether, but because of the timing and only giving him 4 days and not giving him 5, he would be released on Sunday. Community corrections is not open. I'm still going to allow the release at that time. And then on Monday, he's going to have to report to community corrections to get the tether.
Okay, what time do they go?
8,
Yeah, 8 or 8:30.
8 or 8:30. Well, I'll just put it this way. He'll have to be there before noon on Monday. All right.
Thank you.
Has that woman been removed from my building? She out of my building? Folks, there's still the argument on the disqualification motion, which certainly I will hear. They're gonna have to process him in and then get him back in here. So I'm gonna let that process occur, and I'm gonna take a brief recess. And then we'll come back and. Folks, before you get up, would you have a seat, please? Understand something. All of these things are difficult. You may not like the court's rulings. A lot of thought has gone into them. I need you to also understand that while that defendant did what he did and he took responsibility for it, I also have 6 defendants that have properly followed the court's orders and have not placed themselves in any jeopardy. What happened in that case is he did it to himself. But anybody that wants to have an outburst, you can have an outburst all you want, but you're just going to be removed from my building. I'm not going to tolerate it. It's not fair to these defendants as well as Mr. McKinney Shapiro to have their case properly heard. So I'm going to expect that everyone will conduct themselves in conformity with it. Court stands in recess.
Rise.
Let me know what you think in the comments. Pro-Palestinian demonstrations, University of Michigan last fall. 7 kids arrested, charged with felonies. It's made its way through the court system. Last time they were in court was March 10th. You had protesters grabbing police batons and trying to wrestle them away. Kids were throwing ceramic tiles at the cops. They had the usual encampment that you saw on every campus. So I'm assuming these 7 kids arrested and charged with felonies were doing grabbing the batons and throwing ceramic tiles and what have you. This kid did a really stupid thing, and Judge Simpson's calling him out on it, but he's also giving him a break. So good stuff here. Let me know what you think in the comments, and thanks for watching.